No spin, no bias, no censorship. I'm Dan Wootton. This is Outspoken episode number 412 and breaking right now. Suella Braverman defects to Reform UK at a bombshell rally as GB News finally challenges Nigel Farage on the treatment of Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe.
Thank you, Nigel, for that wonderful introduction. I feel like I've come home. Thank you.
You have silenced some of your own dissenters, Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, for example. So if you were Prime Minister Keir Starmer today, you would have made the same decision, sure.
I'm very happy for people to have different points of view, as long as they're batting for the same team. We've had one or two difficulties over the last year. We've dealt with them.
But the story that really matters to me today is the one being completely ignored by the British bashing corporation, by woke ITV, by Sly News, as Crowborough, a small East Sussex town just 33 miles south of London with a population of only 21,000, represents the fight for our disunited kingdom as it goes into open revolt against Slippery Starmer's government, which hates them by shipping in over 500 illegal migrants who we know are made up of Islamist terrorists, rapists, murderers, and drug pushers.
Deportation! No accommodation! Deportation! No accommodation! Deportation! No accommodation! Who's street? Who's street? Who's street? Who's street? Who's street? Who's street? Who's street?
That you are not just sitting silent. By coming out, you are basically showing them that you are going to stand together, and this community stands together so well. So keep applying the pressure, because
I'm glad to see fellow patriots standing up for their country, standing up and saying no. The globalist political elite need to take notice and they need to take action.
But the sick and twisted MSM wants to deride those patriots as far right.
I'm far right because I dare to question the government's view on normal people and people that are paying no tax at all. Yes, I'm far right.
No, you're far right for saying it's all about migrants in hotels and ignoring the fact that the super rich are getting rich at your expense.
And it gets worse. The Met Police cancelling a Christian march by UKIP in Whitechapel over fears of Islamist violence, while allowing these shocking clashes between Kurds and Syrians in London.
This is the second time the Met Police have banned a planned UKIP march in Tower Hamlets because they are more concerned about pandering to Islamists than they are about protecting the democratic right to peacefully assemble.
So, Slippery Starmer hasn't just lost control of the country, but his party too, as his leadership is now doomed after a decision to launch a civil war against Andy Burnham to save his own pathetic skin.
A lot of your MPs are really upset with you. They think it's cowardly. They think you're running scared because you're worried about a leadership challenge. Can you just address them and tell them your answer to that charge?
Millions of people will be better off if we have the continuation of a Labour government in Wales.
And they'll come to him and go, you've got to resign, otherwise, you'll see like the dying days of the Boris Johnson government, where it was, resignations every 10 minutes. You saw secretaries of state, ministers, junior ministers, PPSs resigning. I imagine that would be the kind of possibility that he'd be faced with after May.
After my digest, we'll analyse this all with today's superstar panel, British YouTube conservative stars, Steph the Alter Nerd and Based and Bougie. Also coming up on the show today, a race war explodes at Channel 5 with the broadcaster's ethnic minority panellists threatening a boycott over all white hosts like Jeremy Vine, Storm Huntley and Vanessa Feltz. We'll analyse. And King Charles backs Prince Harry's disgusting political intervention and attack on Donald Trump in a move that has further increased his growing feud with Prince William. We'll have all the details. Then, in the Royal Uncancelled After Show over on Substack, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's disastrous Sundance Film Festival debut, as the auditorium is left half full and the fake Duchess's speech is a total car crash. We'll analyse that horror footage as we team up with the Royal News Network. We'll also reveal a brand new Greatest Britain and Union Jackass at the end of the show. Remember, the worst Britain in the world today is chosen by you. Here are your nominees. Get voting in the live chat right now. Steve Reed, nominated by Thomas W3033, who says, hilarious. Labour MP Steve Reed says the reason they blocked Andy Burnham is because Labour don't want to inconvenience 2 million people. Nadeem Zahawi, nominated by Thunk Thought, who says this is the calibre of Reform MPs, chin-dribbling architects of this country's demise, now stepping forward to tell us how bad it is. No shame, no accountability, just theatre. And Andy Burnham himself, nominated by Kaz Quinn, who describes him as another really horrible socialist. So, 3 choices for Union Jackass today. 2 from the Labour Party, 1 from Reform UK. Get voting right now. Keep your feedback coming throughout the show. I will share some of the best at the end today. But now, let's go. So you won't see the scenes I'm about to show you on the British Bashing Corporation, on Woke ITV, on Sly News today, but they are extraordinary, and we must not look away. Crowborough now represents the fight for our disunited kingdom, a small East Sussex town and civil parish on the edges of Ashdown Forest, just 33 miles south of London, with a population of 21,000, the vast majority of whom are now an open revolt against Slippery Starmer's government because they know that Labour government hates them. How do they know it? Oh, because they're shipping in over 500 male illegal migrants who we know will be made up by the likes of Islamist terrorists, rapists, murderers and drug pushers. As Tommy Robinson put it, locals out in force in Crowborough after busloads of fighting-age foreign men were dumped in their town under police guard in the early hours this week. Mass deportations 2026. Now, you know, as well as I do, that the MSM would have been all over this story if there had been even a hint of violence. But because the scenes were full of perfectly legal patriotism, they want to pretend that this country isn't fighting back. How wrong they are. Watch. Meanwhile, citizen journalists continue to track the arrival of the illegals to the Crowborough Army Barracks in the dead of the night. Watch.
Yeah, taxis! Taxis! We've got illegals in there, full up. Brand new delivery of illegal immigrants. Oh, sorry, when's the other 500 coming? Hey?
But Crowborough is saying no. Here's some of the reporting the MSM should have been doing from the independent journalist Young Bob.
I'm out here in Crowborough here today where thousands of people have protested in response to over 300 men being bussed in randomly halfway through the night, very deceptively, mate, so none of the people here actually knew. Now, speaking to local residents, I actually found out that a lot of the average housing prices have actually decreased. A lot of people don't actually want to be here, and considering there's not a lot of travel links, this is extremely unfortunate that they've decided to intentionally house people in a very rural area that hasn't consented to it. Now, the reason why these protests are necessary is because the Home Office will fuck you over, the local council will try to fuck you over. None of the government officials actually want to deal with the issue of migration because they would have to admit for generations now they've imported people and imported criminals which have infested local communities such as this without their consent. Now, would we have the same discussion if it was in a really rich area that had a lot of voting power? Of course not. They attach themselves to the most vulnerable communities in hoping that they won't do anything. So these protests here are absolutely necessary to keep up the pressure.
Now, it's very shocking to me to note the lack of political support for Crowborough at the weekend. There were no MPs, no Reform UK reps. Instead, this movement was led by Ben Habib's growing Advance UK, with the party's national director Richard Thompson explaining why.
Incredibly moving to see how many people have arrived today in support of Crowborough Says No. 27 people were bussed in the middle of the night into an army camp that was used by cadets, by the community, things like that, and has now become home for more unvetted, undocumented men. There's plans to increase that to 500. It's going to echo the same sentiments as Wethersfield Air Base, where they currently have about 800 people, soon to be 1,200, which is then going to mean that the people in the village of Wethersfield will be outnumbered by the exclusive young men that are undocumented on the barracks. It's an absolute travesty. I'm glad to see fellow patriots standing up for their country, standing up and saying no. The globalist political elite need to take notice and they need to take action.
He then spoke to the locals. Watch.
For that battle for the soul of the United Kingdom. So I want to say thank you. Keep up the good work and send that message to all the globalist political class that have been puffing their chests out in the Crowborough says no! United Kingdom says no! Thank you.
So too did Axed Pink lady Sarah White, who recently defected from Reform to Advance. She took her no-holds-barred activism to the scene as well.
One woman said to me that she feels disappointed and feels like because the people have moved in, she feels that you haven't done enough. And I said, you have done enough. This was always going to happen, no matter what you do. But what you are doing is showing the local government, like local councils and government, that you are not just sitting silent. By coming out, you are basically showing them that you are going to stand together, and this community stands together so well. So keep applying the pressure, because no, don't ever give up. And I also spoke to people who travelled down from Wales to come and support Keith and Kay. So, you know, you have got support. It's nationwide, the support that you have got. And I just want to say again, like I said the other week, make sure that you stick together. Don't turn on one another. We are seeing it. Myself, Liam and Ryan, we've all had people turn on us in-house. Remember, it doesn't matter who you are, who's leading it, who's doing well, who's not. Just all support one another. Whether you're putting a post online, handing out leaflets, or coming to a protest. Just do what you can and all stick together, and that is all you can do, and then we will get our country back, because this is our country, it's not their country. People who break into our country, come across illegally, undocumented, they need to be returned. Yes, send them back. Thank you, and stay proud, everybody.
Now, what do the mainstream media intend to do to those protesting in Crowborough, the vast majority of the town? I'll tell you what, deride you all as far right, like that scumbag arsehole Matthew Wright did on LBC this weekend. Watch.
If I was a young person in a road, seeing that people were put up in hotels and get lots and lots of money, and I'm
lots and lots of money. How much money do they get a week, Patrick? Lots and lots of money.
I've no idea.
Well, I can tell you it's not lots and lots. It's about £25 a week.
But they don't pay any tax.
Well, that's because they're not allowed to work, Patrick.
Well, okay, you're making my point for me.
No. What you're doing is you are just
point.
repeating a far-right load of nonsense that it's all to do with migrants coming in here. That's why the country's gone broke, while simultaneously avoiding the elephant in the room, which is the richest people in the land have never been richer.
I'm far right because I dare to question the government's view on normal people and people that are paying no tax at all. Yes, I'm far right.
No, you're far right for saying it's all about migrants in hotels and ignoring the fact that the super rich are getting rich at your expense.
They are laughing in our face, just like Sadiq Khan did by joking about the Sharia law that is sweeping London.
But judging by your glasses on those tables, I can see dry January is already over for most of you. I do apologise. I hope to help you out in that respect, but my planned rollout of Sharia law is running behind schedule.
Well, he might laugh, but there is now a genuine no-go zone in Khan's London for white Christians, with Met Police cancelling UKIP's March for Jesus protest that was meant to take place in Whitechapel on Saturday following the imposition of Public Order Act conditions suggesting it would lead to violence and disorder. Well, the violence and disorder wasn't coming from UKIP, was it? It was coming from the local Islamists, even though the cops don't say that. Here's Nick Tanconi's reaction.
This is the second time the Met Police have banned a planned UKIP march in Tower Hamlets because they are more concerned about pandering to Islamists than they are about protecting the democratic right to peacefully assemble. The first march was political. No one was surprised when it got cancelled. This Christian procession is different, however. Our March with Jesus was explicitly religious, and Muslims, as part of their standard Islamic narrative, proclaim how supposedly they love Jesus. Either their standard Islamic narrative is based on lies and deceit to appear moderate and a Christian-friendly faith, or they will happily march with Christians worshipping the Lord and Saviour. All this is very telling.
It is very telling. And it's interesting to me because the Met Police, seem to have no issue with these most revolting violent scenes in London over the weekend between the Kurds and the Syrians, with Paul Brown revealing it all kicked off due to someone trying to burn an Iran flag. Now, this genuinely was happening in London. I know you won't believe it. Watch.
Volley kicking off on the streets of London. It's kicking off. Big style in London. Police everywhere. Batons are out. It's ugly. Missiles being thrown.
People being arrested everywhere. Oh.
Away, stay away!
People have been arrested over here.
This is London. This is what we have imported. As Basil the Great put it, migrant mobs are currently attacking each other on the streets of Britain, arguing over conflicts in the Middle East. You won't see this on the BBC, though, because they keep telling people diversity is our strength. And by the way, it's not just in London. The same thing, the same hell breaking loose in Manchester too. Watch. This is not normal. None of it is. That is Manchester. Also not normal is this video footage of a sword attack from 2023 on the home of Free Speech Shell in Braintree, Essex. The attacker Faraz al-Hijaji, identified in court records as Libyan, was convicted of criminal damage and fined just £200 while being ordered to pay £200 in compensation. Watch. Now that was an attack on the home of this woman, Free Speech Shell, who continues to fight. Good on her. Watch.
I'm Free Speech Shell and I'm from the Braintree and Wethersfield protest group, and we have our next protest on Saturday the 31st of January, 11 to 1 p.m, and it's taking place in Braintree Town in Bank Street. We're calling for all patriots to come and stand with us at protesting against the Wethersfield airbase, which currently houses 800 illegal unvetted men. We're asking for people to come and stand with our community and to say that this is not right and we will not accept it. It's a peaceful protest, so we ask that people please be mindful of that, but we look forward to seeing you then. Thank you.
Patriots are being scared into silence, so good on women like Free Speech Shell, who simply will not break down or back down. Meanwhile, the war on the centre-right between Reform UK and the Tories also exploded over the weekend, with Priti Patel. Shame on her. What has happened to Priti Patel making this ludicrous comparison between Reform UK and the Nazis?
We're not Conservatives at all. Look at their policies on the economy.
They've got a few ex-Conservatives.
Well, they'll have to resolve that now. On welfare, they want higher welfare bills. They back Labour on getting rid of the two-child policy and all this
British
kind of stuff.
Parents
that's simply not right. That is. Let's be very clear about this. Right. And I'm a former employment minister that legislated to reduce the welfare budget and get people back into work, which is what we believe in. So they're not Conservatives, and they're making it up as they go along. They're National Socialists in terms of their conduct.
But even if
Nigel Farage responded by writing, "These are the desperate last flailings of a dying Conservative Party." And he was able to prove that point somewhat within hours, because breaking today, the defection of Suella Braverman during a bombshell rally in London. Watch.
Thank you, Nigel, for that wonderful introduction. I feel like I've come home. I feel like I've come home. Thank you. And I got to say, what an honour it is to be with all of you. Gallant, noble, brave servicemen and women. So we stand at a crossroads. We can either continue down this route of managed decline to weakness and surrender, or we can fix our country, reclaim our power, rediscover our strength. I believe that a better Britain is possible. And because I believe that is possible, today I'm announcing that I resign the Conservative whip. Done it. I resigned the Conservative and my party membership, a party membership of 30 years. It's gone. It's over today. And because I believe with my heart and soul that a better future is possible for us, I am joining Reform UK.
But there are concerns, of course, given Suella's husband, Nigel Braverman, previously quit Reform UK over Zia Yusuf's treatment of her. He has rejoined the party today. But even GB News was asking Farage how he can cope with these big beasts, given Ben Habib and Rupert Lowe were both previously jettisoned.
You have silenced some of your own dissenters, Rupert Lowe, Ben Habib, for example. So if you were Prime Minister Keir Starmer today, you would have made the same decision, sure.
Well, look, they've made their decision for whatever reason. Yes, it's quite possible that Andy Burnham could have won the by-election, but that Labour could have lost the Greater Manchester mayoralty. That is quite possible. Look, I'm very happy for people to have different points of view, as long as they're batting for the same team. We've had one or two difficulties over the last year. We've dealt with them.
But Rupert Lowe responded himself today, slamming Reform's embrace of Suella given her former role. He posted on X, "Another former Conservative Home Office minister goes to Reform. Always remember these are the people who were responsible for the migrant hotels, responsible for the billions going on these scandalous contracts, responsible for forcing third world criminals onto our communities. Ministers must take responsibility for what's happening in their departments. Anybody involved with the implementation of these contracts should not be anywhere near government again, whether they're Conservative Reform or Labour." Braverman was Home Secretary when an asylum contract worth £1.5 billion was awarded for the provision of bridging accommodation and travel services. Just think about how much money that is. For what? To accommodate these con men. So much of our money was spent on these criminals when these ministers were running the show. It is sick what has been done to the British people. In Crowborough, Epping, Bournemouth, everywhere. Nobody involved in these hotels, minister or civil servant, deserves your support. Meanwhile, this afternoon, the Conservatives fighting back hard by suggesting Suella has gone mad. Suggesting that she's got mental health problems, which I think shows how toxic the war on the right is going to get. I'm not exaggerating, by the way. This is what the official spokesperson for the party released via Guido Fawkes. It was always a matter of when, not if, Suella would defect. The Conservatives did all we could to look after Suella's mental health. But she was clearly very unhappy. She says she feels that she has come home, which will come as a surprise to the people who chose not to elect a Reform MP in her constituency in 2024. There are some people who are MPs because they care about their communities and want to deliver a better country. There are others who do it for their personal ambition. Suella stood for leader of the Conservatives in 2022 and came sixth behind Kemi and Tom Tugendhat. In 2024, she could not even muster enough support to get on the ballot. She has now decided to try her luck with Nigel Farage, who said last year he didn't want her in Reform. They really are doing our spring cleaning. As always happens with Reform, they unveil defections just when the Labour government is tearing itself to pieces. Rayner, Mandelson, now Burnham. Reform are too busy opposing the Conservatives to hold the Labour government to account. The Conservative Party is now the only party that believes in smaller government, less welfare, and Britain living within its means, and has the team and the experience to get Britain working again. Now, I have to say, Reform UK's shadow cabinet, which was revealed to the Telegraph over the weekend, looks pretty dodgy at best now. No Suella in there, but these were the expected positions. Chancellor Robert Jenrick, Home Office Zia Yusuf, Foreign Officer Nadeem Zahawi, Business and Energy Richard Tice. As Nick Dixon pointed out, 50% Muslim, the same percentage Farage will tell you is inevitable for Britain's population. This from Basil the Great. Reform gives Zia Yusuf Home Secretary role. They're lining him up for the big job. Imagine that. Reform voters being conned into electing Britain's first Muslim Prime Minister, with World by Wolf reminding us the man Nigel Farage plans on putting in charge of the British police state is Zia Yusuf. Last year, Yusuf orchestrated a spurious police investigation and initiated a kangaroo court internal inquiry as a pretext to throw in Rupert Lowe out of Reform. He then began a smear campaign against Rupert, claiming he had dementia. Is this the man you want in charge of British intelligence? Yusuf is a vindictive and unhinged man who cannot be trusted with the powers of the British security apparatus. Not to mention, he resigned last year over criticism of Islam from a Reform MP he later labelled stupid. So that's Yusuf in the Home Office. Huge mistake. Surely it should be Suella. But what about Zahawi? Zahawi as Foreign Secretary. As Basil the Great pointed out, this is the man who says British taxes should be funneled to help Somalia and other third world countries. Absolute shambles. A reminder of that.
The UK remits more than £2 billion overseas every year. Some of the poorest economies, like Somalia, are entirely dependent on money remitted by the Somali diaspora. Unlike official aid, remittances between family can't be embezzled or misspent by corrupt regimes. So significant cuts to immigration would cut off a major financial lifeline to the world's poorest, resulting in stronger demand for government aid.
And even though I have been a fan of Superwoman Suella personally, so too Robert Jenrick, so too Andrew Rosendale, there are serious concerns that the party has now morphed into Tory 2.0, which no one wants. The civil war within Reform UK was spelled out in awkward detail, by the way, over the weekend when The Times, did you see this? They ran an interview with the party's Muslim mayoral candidate, Layla Cunningham, but the interview was conducted before Robert Jenrick's defection, yet only published at the weekend. And it read, "We meet the day before Robert Jenrick's defection. Cunningham has said she was against the former immigration minister, whom she blames for migrant hotels joining Reform. And today she attacks his views on race. Growing up, she says, my best friends were British Chinese and a black British Cameroonian. I took offence when Jenrick said that he went to Birmingham and he didn't see a white face. It's not about the colour of your skin, ever. It's about what's in your heart. And for me, Britain and London are in my heart." Next day, I text to ask how she feels about Jenrick now. Long pause, then she replies, "I trust Nigel's decision. Robert said he's ashamed of what the Conservatives did and wants to fix it. That's what matters." So, does Suella Braverman strengthen Reform UK? Absolutely. Absolutely. But does the party really have the solutions to save Britain? Well, you know, I still have my doubts. What about my superstar panel? Let's bring them in now. Conservative YouTube sensation Steph the Alter Nerd and Based and Bougie both with me today. So look, I want to get to Crowborough in just one moment because the scenes over the weekend were utterly incredible. But based in Bougie, first, can we talk about Reform UK and this defection from Suella Braverman? Are you for or against?
To be honest, I'm 50-50 with this one. On the one hand, I feel as though she is very experienced. And on the second hand, well, on the one hand, she's very experienced. And not only that, she's proven herself to be loyal to the people of Britain. I mean, the reason why she was even removed from the Conservative Party was because of how criticisms of the pro-Palestinian marches. But on the other hand, what I'm worried about is the fact that the Reform Party is pretty much going to become the Tory Party 2.0. And we need to remember that the reason why the country is even in this mess is because of what has the Conservative Party and how disastrous it was. So for now, I like Suella just because I feel like she's very experienced, and not only that, she's proven herself to be loyal to the people and to the country, and I feel like that's what's lacking in politics right now. People are more loyal to their pockets, and she's proven that. However, on the other hand, if we keep importing people from the Conservative Party, Reform will literally just become Tory 2.0.
Steph, the alternate, I think that is happening, isn't it? I mean, look at that shadow cabinet.
It's like in the Groundhog Day film. This is absolutely insane. For me, it's full of politicians that already were in power for over 10 years prior to Starmer's dictatorship coming in, and they failed the UK. So why would we actually give them another chance to fail us again? I mean, let's put it this way. Farage's appearance at Davos, to me, confirmed one thing. He's conservative establishment wolf in Reform UK clothing. So to kind of reference Suella a little bit here, because I'm really, really disappointed in Suella joining Reform UK, really disappointed. But to kind of take her words a little bit, I'm publicly coming out and I renounce my membership of Reform, and instead I'll be skipping my way to Advance UK. That's
really
my home. And as far as I'm concerned, it's the home of British patriots.
And that's because, Steph, you are concerned about this Tory takeover of Reform UK. That's been the final straw for you.
Absolutely. To me, it just screams of desperation that they want to hold on to their seats. And they know that if they ran under the Conservative Party flag, that they will lose. It'll be an absolute bloodbath. They see the polls. They're not stupid. They know that if they just simply change their flag to Reform, that they've got a better chance of winning. It's all about their careers and keeping their job rather than actually serving the country and doing right by us British patriots.
Wow, big news, big news. But look, I want to talk about Crowborough because based in Bougie, the mainstream media have just totally ignored the scenes coming out of that town yesterday. Yet I think it is hugely significant. I mean, you pretty much have the majority of the 21,000 residents based on the streets. But of course, because there was no violence, because this was a perfectly behaved group of patriots, because this was a march organised by Advance UK based, we have no mainstream media coverage of it.
Yeah. Do you know what I find so interesting is that the reason why there is no news coverage is because they're white. It's as simple as that. They're white and they're peaceful and they're not doing anything violent. And what I've realized by this Crowborough protest is the fact that the reason why we're seeing so many people coming out and protesting every day and pretty much every week is because the UK is no longer a country. It's a dumping ground. You know, a country is a community of people who are able to decide what is happening in their country, who can come into their country, who can come into their neighborhoods. But the British people, especially the indigenous English people, have completely lost that right. They're not allowed to say who they want in their hotels. They're not allowed to say whether they want, a Christian march within their streets. Like, they have no rights. And I find it so interesting that anytime an indigenous English person speaks out against this, they're labeled far right. But if you compare that to what's happening in South Africa, for example, you have literally people saying, kill the Boers, kill the Boers, kill the whites. We don't want them in their community. And they're being paraded for it. But when you see people protesting, it's either absolute silence or they're being called violent far right. So I just want to I just think the UK is no longer a country. It's become a dumping ground, and the indigenous English people specifically are losing their rights to decide what they want to happen in their country. And every time they do, they're labeled far right. And let me make it very clear, it's never been about race. I go to these protests and I ask them the questions just to make sure it's not about race, because I'm a black woman. And they always reassure me it's not about that. We just want to be able to monitor what's happening in our communities, what's happening in our schools, what's happening next to our homes. But they're completely losing that right. So I'm not shocked that we are constantly seeing these protests up and down the country.
Here. I totally agree with every word you just said, based in bougie. Absolutely it is. And Steph, we see the same thing happen in Whitechapel, don't we? The Metropolitan Police cancel the UKIP march for Jesus because they are white, because it is now a no-go zone for white Christians, and because Islamists were going to cause huge amounts of trouble, just like we've seen in both Syria and, in both Manchester and London over the weekend, these clashes between the Syrians and the Kurds.
Please remind me that the UK is a Christian country. I mean, I'm atheist, but I respect that the country that I live in is Christian. It's as simple as that. Why can't anyone else provide that simple courtesy if you're not Christian and you're living in a Christian British country? Now, if you're a Christian wanting to do a protest in Whitechapel, right? Oh my goodness, it's a level 9 major red flag threat. But if you're a Muslim wanting to do a protest in Whitechapel, then it's all Gucci. It's apparently fine for an Islamic protest in the centre of London on Westminster Bridge. And it's just the absurdity of it all. I read a post from Russell Quirk saying something along the lines of Christianity in a Christian country is what? Provocative? The only thing provocative here is the skewed intolerance of the Met Police. But what I think needs to be called out here is that Starmer and his dictatorship, as far as I'm concerned now, is committing psychological warfare against the British people. And this is just another example of it. So they're taking away our freedom to vote to try and make us feel less powerful in the democratic process. They're taking away our freedom of speech and our freedom to protest and to gather together just as Christians, to put us into a state of fear. They're gaslighting us by calling us far right, when actually we're only being patriotic and protective of our own culture, women and children. As far as I'm concerned now, we're not far right. We are British patriots.
Totally. Amen to that. And shame on Matthew Wright, by the way, who immediately leapt to call that person far right. As Base said, it's because they are white people. And fundamentally, it is. It's as simple as that, isn't it?
As simple as that. And what's so upsetting, and this is, let me make something clear. Them cancelling the UKIP march was absolutely disappointing, because me as a black woman who's also Christian, I would have wanted to take part in that march as well. I was very excited for that. So not only did you ruin it for the white people, but you've also ruined it for people like myself who are Christians. Where else in the world do you see the national religion of a country completely being pushed to the sidelines except Britain? And this is exactly what I mean when I say this country is no longer a country, because we don't get to decide what we want. We don't get to decide whether we want a religious festival. We don't get to decide if we want English on the train stations. It's decided for other cultures. And I find that to be absolutely disgusting, that everywhere else in the world, everyone's allowed to have their cultures, allowed to have their religion, allowed to have their traditions, except English culture. And obviously I've been brought up in English culture. This is probably the culture I'm the most familiar with.
And it's a culture which has given so much to the world and should be preserved. No, I couldn't agree more. Yeah, 100%. The thing is, though, I've got to talk about that wanker Slippery Starmer and what he is really attempting to do. Because yes, there is the civil war in the Labour Party. Yes, he is finished as Prime Minister. And the fact that he has managed to stop Andy Burnham entering Parliament is, trust me, only a temporary fix to his leadership crisis. But what to me is more chilling and more disturbing, and again, not being reported on in the mainstream media, is that Keir Starmer, to take care, wants to send us to war, wants to send our young people to war because he believes that is the only way to convince his party that he shouldn't be replaced by a leftist. And if you don't believe me, look at this TikTok that Slippery Starmer posted over the weekend. Now, there's rap music accompanying this TikTok, and you see Starmer put on his headphones and pretend that we remain a great military power in the world, despite the fact our armed forces are completely dilapidated, despite the fact that we cannot even defend our own southern border. But I know exactly why he's doing it, because he believes that the only way to convince his party not to roll him is the threat of a nuclear war, is the idea that Angela Rayner or Andy Burnham or Wes Streeting could not be trusted with a major event like that. I think it's sick, I think it's twisted, and I don't think it's going to work. Starmer himself is losing it. Look at this robotic, soulless man when questioned today by Beth Rigby of Sly News about the latest civil war within the party.
Home, you led the charge over the weekend to stop Andy Burnham running for Parliament. You argued the case. You personally voted against him at the National Executive Committee. Many MPs are furious about this. One MP called you cowardly. Can you explain to them why you blocked him?
Yeah, but be very clear about that. We have really important elections already across England for local councils, very important elections in Wales for the government there, and very important elections in Scotland for the Scottish government.
A lot of your MPs are really upset with you. They think it's cowardly. They think you're running scared because you're worried about a leadership challenge. Can you just address them and tell them your answer to that charge?
Millions of people will be better off if we have the continuation of a Labour government in Wales, and if we're able to win the government in Scotland and retain and win councils across England.
Minister, but it's not just about that. Please level with them, because it's not just about that. It's also about the political drama that this is causing around a potential leadership challenge, isn't it? Let's just have it out and answer that question, please.
Well, the rule that we introduced in relation to these situations was introduced by the Labour Party 2 years ago.
This man is a soulless freak. A soulless freak. And that is why I believe he does want British boots on the ground in Ukraine. What's interesting, though, is that the Labour left know that it is over for Starmer. Look at how Andy 12s reacted to the news on GB News.
I think when we look back on this moment in 5 or 10 years, this will be the end of the Keir Starmer premiership. This has left him exposed to the right of the party and the PLP. This is an absolute sign of weakness. The fact he didn't even abstain on this. He's so insecure in his position that he's thrown away a guaranteed win in a parliamentary by-election. You know, Reform UK, they deserve to win it now, given the fact that because of his ego and his factional priorities, we've thrown away an outstanding candidate that would have won and would have contributed to our government and our party. And we've thrown it away because Keir Starmer's worried about his position in 100%. That is not country before party. That is party before country.
He even explained how Starmer's reign will come to an end. Watch.
What form will that now take?
I imagine it will come through the members of the cabinet coming to him after the May elections and doing a, if you don't go, we'll go, threatening mass resignations of the cabinet. I imagine probably Wes Streeting will try and get his ducks in order. Angela Rayner will try and get her ducks in order. Maybe Shabana will try as well. But I imagine deals will be made. I imagine there'll be a left candidate and a kind of centrist candidate. Wow. And they'll come to him and go, you've got to resign, otherwise, you know, you'll see like the dying days of the Boris Johnson government, where it was, you know, resignations every 10 minutes. You saw secretaries of state, ministers, junior ministers, you know, PPSs resigning. I imagine that'd be the kind of possibility that he'd be faced with after May.
So it's coming. It's coming. OK, so it might not be Andy Burnham. But who cares? It's coming anyway. Listen to John McDonnell. OK, fine, he's on the left of the Labour Party again, a Corbyn ally. But this is what Labour MPs are saying amongst themselves. He just agreed to say it on the BBC.
I'm absolutely furious. I messaged Keir to say I don't think he understands the depth of anger that there most probably will be amongst our members about this. And although some of his advisors will say this is displaying that in some way Keir is showing strength and leadership. I actually think it shows weakness and cowardice, and I think people will be very angry. In 2020, you know, when Keir stood for the leadership election, he said very clearly that he believed that in parliamentary selections, the local members should have the say and not the NEC. And was he lying when he said that? Why has he changed his mind? And I actually do think it'll cause us more damage. And I've also said in a message to him, actually, if he thinks this strengthens his position, I think actually it will be used to hasten his demise if he's not careful. And in terms of the mayor, as the Labour Party said, they're confident themselves that we could win that. So I honestly think this is just factionalism gone wild. And I think Keir and I'm sorry to use this language, but the political cretins who are advising him have made a huge mistake. Well, it undermines us and divides our party even.
And Andy Burnham is now openly attacking Starmer, posting on X that he was disappointed by today's NEC decision, concerned about its potential impact on the important elections ahead of us. To whoever is Labour's candidate and to our members in Manchester and Tameside, you will have my full support and I will be there whenever you need me. Tomorrow, I return with my full focus to my role as Mayor of Greater Manchester, defending everything we have built in our city region over many years. I decided to put myself forward to prevent the divisive politics of reform from damaging that. We are stronger together and let's stay that way. P.S. The fact that the media was informed of the NEC decision before I was tells you everything you need to know about the way the Labour Party is being run these days. You would think that over 30 years of service would count for something, but sadly not. So to my superstar panel, Steph, the ultra nerd and based and bougie. Steph, look, at the end of the day, Starmer is finished. He is totally finished. He is going to go. There is no way he's going to get through this. There's no way he will be able to cope with what is probably now going to be a by-election loss to Reform UK or to George Galloway or to the Greens because he didn't allow Andy Burnham to run. But of course, the real focal point is going to be what happens in the local elections in May, where Labour will be wiped out, will probably lose governance in Wales, will probably not win governance in Scotland. So Starmer is finished. But what I am so scared about, Steph, is the desperate moves that he is going to take in order to try and cling onto power. And I think when you look at that TikTok clip, when you look at his absolute devotion to this idea of boots on the ground in Ukraine, I genuinely believe that Starmer wants a war. He believes that a war is the way to keep him in power. And I think that makes him dangerous, Steph.
Yeah, it's no, let's say, coincidence that we're seeing a ramp up of, to coin a phrase, Russian phobia in mainstream media. Oh my goodness, another Russian ship's entered our waters. Oh my goodness, another plane's just gone near our airspace, this, that and the other. This is, as far as I'm concerned, the Labour dictatorship building this narrative of Russia being a bigger boogie monster than they actually are and trying to set up two-tier Keir to be the only leader that can stop Putin at this point. The only leader that can stop Putin at this point is why he released that PR little TikTok clip of him looking big and hard, this, that and the other with the military. If anything, I actually laugh at that. I think it's a freaking comedy more than all else.
Well, I mean, we cannot even stop an invasion every single day of Islamist invaders via the channel. I mean, the idea that we can send boots on the ground to any other country when we cannot secure our own border, to me, is laughable. But based in bougie, I do believe this is a strategy. I don't think young people would fall for it. Honestly, I don't think anyone wants to fight for Starmer. But I do believe Starmer is becoming increasingly dangerous because he has this deranged idea that the way for him to stay in power is to sell the idea of some type of nuclear war.
See, the problem with people like Keir Starmer and just the whole Labour establishment is that their whole priority is the party rather than the people. And we're so sick and tired of We were sick and tired of this with the Conservative Party. Now we're sick and tired of this with Labour, where they are more interested in keeping their jobs, keeping money in their pockets, rather than actually serving the people. And we've completely lost that in politics. We've lost politicians who care about the people more than their own, care about, their party more than their own people. Now, when it comes to going to war, who's going to war? Because it's definitely not the leftists he's going to war. It's definitely not the people on the right who's going to war. I mean, he's created such a division in the country that nobody will fight for this country, because the right isn't going to fight for Keir Starmer. The left never fight for anything. So who on earth is going to war? Nobody's going to go to war. And this is the problem that I'm having. He has been prioritizing everything under the sun, whether it's Ukraine, whether it's, the Russians, everything under the sun, even the Chinese embassy. The fact that he's happy for China to build an embassy the size of the White House in the UK, his priorities are not with the... Get this guy out. Just
100%. 100%. I mean, Steph, we literally have a prime minister, and sometimes I have to repeat these words because they are so shocking, but I genuinely believe them. I don't think it is hyperbole at all, Steph. We have a British prime minister who hates Britain.
It's simple as that.
Yeah, and I repeat it all the time. Yes, he hates Britain. He's a traitor. He's a dictator. And what he's done with Andy Burnham just further proves that he's a dictator, that he's not allowing the democratic process that we apparently are entitled to actually follow through in this country. Now, you've referenced, that there are council elections this year. I'm now in a state of mind where I'm like, is there really going to be? He's already cancelled over 4 million votes this year. What's
100%.
to say he's not going to cancel any further?
Well, 100%. And Steph, what would give him the ultimate cancellation, the ultimate way to cancel democracy, maybe even cancel the general election? War. That's why he wants war. This dude is an authoritarian. He's got to go. He absolutely has to go. The good thing is, I don't think either the left or the right of the Labour Party are going to buy into his bullshit anymore. He's like Hitler in his bunker. He's losing. He knows he's losing. He will be finished. Okay, maybe Burnham won't be his successor now, but it will be Streeting or Rayner or Miliband. I mean, God. All of them are disastrous options. Really interesting to note, by the way, Burnham had lined up Rayner as his deputy leader and Miliband as his chancellor. Sure, that's not any better than what we've got, but I do think Starmer is dangerous and I do think he has to go. The one thing you can't be in British television anymore is white. If you're white, especially if you're a white man, people are really going to have a problem with you being on television, which made it so shocking, even though it shouldn't be. Remember, we are still a majority white country for now, that Channel 5, in announcing its brand new daytime lineup to follow Jeremy Vine, went for hosts that were not ethnically diverse. Now, this is very unusual. It's virtually impossible now to turn on any show on any of the mainstream broadcasters and see a panel or a group of presenters that match the population, because there is overrepresentation of one race. For example, if you look at the new series of The Apprentice, 20 contestants, 10 of them are ethnic minorities. Now, as a result of this decision by Channel 5 to go with an all-white presenting lineup for its new daytime series, there is a boycott. A massive boycott, a huge civil war behind the scenes, no doubt led by their ethnic minority contributors like Narinder Kaur and like Bushra Sheikh and like Yasmin Alabaya Brown, who believe they should be in the presenting roles. This from the Grift Report, who has described it as Channel 5's woke meltdown, saying panelists threaten a mass boycott because daytime lineup is all white faces, not good enough for them to host. Furious contributors whine they're good enough to be token guests, but never main presenters. They are now plotting a group walkout over the 2026 schedule's total lack of brown or black hosts, even in backups. Channel 5 bosses beam they're giving enough viewers more of what they want with beloved familiar faces, but the diversity brigade screams racism and demands jobs. Taxpayers and audience left wondering, since when does representation mean forcing channels to hire based on skin colour over talent? Can you guess who the people are who are threatening a mass walkout? Well, I think I've just named 3 of them. So let me show you now the white presenters in question. Of course, the man who the lineup is all based around is one Jeremy Vine.
Sort of things that are being tossed around here. So we've got a whole set of TVs and we've got the windows behind which people are looking on at the government to see what they're going to decide. If we want to keep the BBC, this is the question. We want to keep it. How do we fund it?
Then there's Storm Huntley, soon to be on maternity leave.
The time has nearly come for me to head off in another very different adventure for a little while. I'm sure a few of you are thinking, I can't believe she's still here.
But alongside her now is another white man. How terrible, Matt Allwright.
If you can still bag yourself a bargain in the sales and how to do it, this is crucial, without falling for a scam. I need to hear from you. Tell us about your experiences. How's January going for you?
Also in the lineup, another white dude, Alexis Conran. He's lefty, though.
And we want to hear from you. If you've fallen foul of a romance scam or almost fallen foul for it, give us a call. Let us know your story.
And it's wrapped up by Vanessa, who, by the way, pretends that she's hosting a podcast. You'll notice she's got the microphone there, but it's fake because actually her real microphone is on her lapel. Watch.
We're asking because a recently divorced man in his 40s wrote to an agony aunt to say he'd recently rejoined the dating pool after his divorce.
Let me take you through the exclusive reporting from the Express about this boycott. Now, they say a source has expressed concern about the lack of diversity among Channel 5's daytime presenters, including stand-ins, with contributors convinced bosses don't see them as good enough to be main presenters. A contributor who works across the stable of Channel 5 daytime shows told the Daily Express, Narinder Kaur, it has been noticed that Channel 5 do not have any black or brown presenters on their daytime presenting schedule. Even the backup presenters who provide cover when the main stars are on holiday have so far been all white faces. Some of the contributors have gotten together and are considering a group boycott of all Channel 5 shows because they're sick of the lack of representation on screen. Channel 5 see them as good enough to be panelists, but not good enough to be hosts. To my superstar panel, Based and Bougie and Steph, the alternate. Steph, this one absolutely infuriates me because, look, I think this Channel 5 daytime lineup is awful, right? I think it's terrible. I think it's woke. I think it's wet. I think it's lefty. I think the presenters are awful. The fact that Vanessa has to fake being in a podcast, like, there is so much to pick on with this dire daytime lineup, which is going to end up dying on its ass. But the fact that these presenters happen to be white, I didn't even think about it. Like, we are a majority white country, are we not?
Last time I checked, yeah. This is the thing, when it was announced, and this was like over the last couple of weeks, that lineup, and I saw that picture, I was like, honestly, yeah, I'm not going to be watching any of that. Just didn't appeal to me at all. That was it. I didn't see skin colour. I didn't see anything like that. But as you were, reporting on this and going through the clips and whatnot, I took a closer look at this picture and I thought, hang on a minute, what's the actual problem here? Because when you actually look at it, there's diversity all over the shop with this lineup. You've got 2 women, 3 men, some are middle-aged, some are elderly. I mean, you've got the woke brigade turning around and saying, there's no representation when it comes to, elderly presenters, this, that, and the other. Well, you've got Vanessa. The way I see it is by only seeing their skin colour, they're the ones actually being racist. It's as simple as that.
Well, I think it is. I mean, Based and Bougie, you're a black woman. Do you have a problem with the fact that all of these presenters on this particular daytime lineup happen to be white? Or do you think someone like Narinder Kaur or Bushra Sheikh or Yasmin Alabaya Brown should have got the nod instead?
I just think anyone who's upset by this panel either just needs to shut up or just literally admit that they hate white people. Just literally just be honest and say, because to boycott a whole channel because you see white people. If that's not racism, I don't know what is. If I saw a panel of white people, like Steph the Nerd said, I wouldn't even care because human beings are just human beings to me. Second of all, it just goes to show how the left and the woke mob have literally shot themselves in the foot. I mean, they've been preaching diversity this and multiculturalism this, and what has happened is now they're losing their jobs. Now they're about to get cancelled because you basically gave, the woke mob the opportunity to get people like yourself off screen, because I don't think the show will last if people like the Narendra calls are complaining. And I think last but not least, I just think at the end of the day, this country is majority white, it's majority English. What are we talking about? It's like me going to Nigeria and complaining that I keep seeing Nigerians in my screen. Can we make it make sense? It's like going to India and then complaining that I can only see Indians on a Bollywood movie. No, this is India. This is England. We're going to see English people. I don't know if I was like raised differently, but I just don't understand when people are going to understand that indigenously this country is English. So we shouldn't be surprised when we see English people everywhere.
Exactly.
I don't understand
and
what world I'm living in.
over-representation, I actually argue based that it just adds to racism, right? So when people see the Apprentice lineup, for example, and see 50% of the contestants are now ethnic minorities, it's like, that doesn't represent our country.
Exactly. And again, it's like, if you are going to complain, so be it. But make sure you're the same person complaining when you go onto Bollywood and you only see Indian actors. Make sure you complain when you turn on Nollywood and you only see Nigerian actors. I want these people to have the same energy. Again, I just don't know what world we are living in where people can come to England, then complain that they keep seeing English people. I don't get it. It's just absolutely weird to me.
No, I don't get it at all. I just want to show you. There's the new Apprentice lineup, by the way, and I don't believe it might be the BBC's utopia of what they think our country is. It may actually be where our country is at some point quite soon. It's not where our country is at the moment, but the BBC is particularly bad at this, the British Bashing Corporation, as I call it. Now, they have let this guy called Richie Brave host a radio show. Richie Brave is an awful man, a very awful hard left man who loves race politics, who wants to divide using racial discrepancies. And in this segment, which was broadcast on a BBC radio station, he is discussing racial bias and exclusions in the British school system with the guest Naomi Natasha Evans, co-founder of an organisation called Everyday Racism. Watch this.
This system wasn't built for black children. It's a system that is essentially built on a culture of whiteness. So by nature, our education system is rooted in systemic racism.
And what does that mean when you say a culture of whiteness? Because there'll be people listening to this show that would say, school is school. Any child of any race can go into the schooling system. I'm a black person. I did well in school. What does whiteness mean when it comes to education?
Our schools are generally very multicultural now. 1 in 3 children are, considered from an ethnic minority background.
And is that in London specifically?
No,
or
that's
the UK?
Yeah, the UK.
Great.
So we're really seeing a lot of mixed, racially diverse classes. However, the curriculum, the system that we see reflects a certain type of person, and that is white, cis, straight. Everybody else is deemed as other. They are outside of that. And actually the centering of what the children and the young people are learning, the people they're learning about, the history that they're learning, the representation, the role models is still very much rooted in whiteness.
I mean, that conversation just plays out, Steph, on the BBC with no balance, no debate. And I believe that is racism. That is talking about whiteness in such a derogatory manner in a country which is a white country. I am so fed up of this.
See, this is another form, as far as I'm concerned, of psychological warfare.
Yes.
From the left against us. Because they're trying to use the colour of our skin as a weapon against us. This is the thing, right? It's not a culture of whiteness. It's a culture of Britishness, where we just happen to be white because of the Vikings, because of our ancestors of this country. They're trying to say that Shakespeare was black, right? They're trying to say that Muslims helped develop this country centuries ago, right? They're trying to rewrite history. They're trying to rewrite Britishness. No. No,
Yes.
no, no.
Shakespeare was a black woman, apparently based. That's the latest. That is the latest. William Shakespeare. Oh, not just a black woman, a black Jewish woman.
So basically, great-great-grandma could have been Shakespeare. That's what it is.
Yes, exactly.
You know what I find so ridiculous? What people don't understand is that the reason why we need to keep the curriculum white, in this case I would say British and English, is because the British built this curriculum, built this country. Like, what are we talking about right now? You've come to our country, you've decided you want to come to our schools, and now you're telling us, well, not telling me, but now we have to change the curriculum to suit you. No, this is the country that built this curriculum, so you're going to learn. And if you don't like that, this is the part that blows my mind, is there's so many other countries in the world where you can learn the curriculum that you want to learn. There's so many other countries that you can do that. So I'm not shocked that we see this growing rise, of just, I guess you would say, English and white nationalists just getting sick and tired of this, because it's like, why should any person be forced to erase their history or their ancestry, or to just erase their culture in general just to appease other people, when there's millions of other countries in the world where they can go enjoy that culture? If I ever get tired of English culture, I would just go to Congo and I will read the full Congolese curriculum and Congolese history. But that's not what I want for my life right now. That's not how I was raised. I was raised to come here and to integrate and embrace the culture and embrace the history. So it's just absolutely ridiculous that people are coming into English institutions and English schools and then telling the English people that we don't want to learn your English history, we want to learn ours. So why did you come here?
Totally. No, I think that's really well put. And you are right to say that, unfortunately, it is interviews like that that are absolutely infuriating patriots, and I think causing a huge amount of division. King Charles and Prince William are now at war over Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's Donald Trump rebuke. Now, to be honest, I'm totally with Prince William on this. I'm sorry, I'm just putting that out there right from the start. What Harry and Meghan did by openly speaking out against Trump was disgusting, was despicable, went against all diplomatic norms, and also is hugely disrespectful for Harry, given he is in America. I would argue at the invitation of Trump, who could boot the asshole out because he lied on his immigration forms, I believe, because I do not believe he would have been allowed in if he admitted to all of the illegal drug use in Spare. But let me take you through this story. Here's Harry's statement. It came after Trump made those comments, which were misinterpreted, about European troops, which he later rolled back. And Harry wrote, in 2001, NATO invoked Article 5 for the first and only time in history. It meant that every allied nation was obliged to stand with the United States in Afghanistan in pursuit of our shared security. Allies answered that call. I served there, I made lifelong friends there, and I lost friends there. The United Kingdom alone had 457 service personnel killed. Thousands of lives were changed forever. Mothers and fathers buried sons and daughters. Children were left without a parent. Families are left carrying the cost. Those sacrifices deserve to be spoken about truthfully and with respect, as we all remain united and loyal to the defence of diplomacy and peace. Well, as the Royal News Network posted, having read that, Prince Harry has no business making any sort of statements on NATO and, by extension, criticising President Donald Trump. This sort of brazenness again belies the reason why all his titles and place in the line of succession should be removed. Yes, it should. If he can't contain himself and potentially undermines whatever diplomacy is going on behind the scenes, it's a problem that must be dealt with. That's the price of being the son of the king, as he so arrogantly throws around when it suits him. But here's the problem. Charles, actually, first what happened is Meghan weighed in. This was her Instagram story where she posted a whole succession of pictures of Prince Harry with the troops. We know exactly what she was getting at. Again, this was her way of taking down Donald Trump without actually having the balls to say it, because she's gutless. But of course, what the royal family should do in these cases is say nothing. Do not get involved. Say nothing. This isn't a battle for you. Keir Starmer was speaking to Trump, and sure enough, immediately after that conversation, Trump, having realized that this had been taken the wrong way and then beaten up and blasted by the mainstream media into space in a very over-the-top manner, he immediately railed back and said, no, of course the British troops are great. But unfortunately, Charles doesn't play that game. Just like we know he voiced his discontent to Boris Johnson about the Rwanda scheme, he was briefing to The Sun on Sunday that Trump had backed down after back-channel concerns were raised by the King. Now, for William, this is another diplomatic misstep. And if you look at a load of reporting from America, I think this shows where there are these new fractures that have developed. Not everyone wants to hear this, but it's just the truth, between Charles and William, not over how they deal with international relations and all of that type of thing, but about how they're going to deal with the Harry issue, which is William wants exile, William wants the title stripped, Charles seems to be giving into this idea that his mother had absolutely abandoned, that Harry and Meghan can live as some type of half-in, half-out royals. Now, here's some interesting reporting from Paula Frolic in the States, who said that after the statement was made, royal protocol collides with the Democratic Party's PR machine. She reported that this wasn't even written by Harry himself, but rather his new PR firm, or renewed PR firm, I should say, Sunshine Sachs, who have ties with the Democratic Party. Harry sent out an impassioned statement this week, and it was powerful, impactful, and my sources tell me not only deeply inappropriate, but also not physically penned by him. No way that statement was actually written by him, my royal source said. He approved it, but it smells of his PR firm, Sunshine Sachs, Morgan and Lyons. But as my source noted, this was clearly written by his PR people. That firm is knee-deep in the Democratic Party. Sunshine Sachs, Morgan and Lyons is well known to have extensive, long-standing ties to the Democratic Party and frequently does work for democratic causes, politicians and organisations. And this is an issue, as once again, Harry is mucking about with politics, something royals do not do for good reason. Tom Sykes also says that Charles is backing Prince Harry's attack on Trump over NATO veterans in The Royalist, saying King Charles's decision to let it be known he backs Harry's position is a significant escalation of the conflict with William over how to deal with Harry. So let me turn to my superstar panel now, Based and Bougie and Steph, the alternate. Steph, I'm sorry, I actually think the Royal News Network is right on this. There is now no other solution than stripping Harry's titles, taking it all away, because he has proved once again that he cannot resist getting involved in the most sensitive diplomatic issues, which is highly ironic, by the way, given that he has chosen to live in Trump's America. If you hated it so much, do an Ellen DeGeneres and get your ass back on a plane. Although, please God, don't do that, because we don't want him anywhere near here. But seriously, Steph, what is Charles then doing, sort of giving into this and almost acting as if Harry had done the right thing?
Where do I begin with all of that? So, this is the thing. There have been ample examples from Harry that his title should have been stripped ages ago. The one that springs to mind is more recently, last year, he went over to Ukraine after visiting the UK. And there were reports that came through that he actually met up and visited Zelensky, when the British government turned round to him, allegedly, and said, don't even go there. Don't go near Zelensky at all. And he did it anyway. He does things for the best of him rather than the best of this country and to serve this country. Not only that, but I think there's a bigger kind of situation at play that I don't think a lot of people have clocked here, which is Harry has put his own visa in jeopardy by speaking out against Trump on this, but Meghan has as well now. Because with Meghan turning round and putting up all those pictures on Instagram of Hazza, serving in the military in Afghanistan, this, that, and the other, she's also attacking Trump as well. And bear in mind that even though this whole Hazza visa situation is a little bit on the quiet front at the moment, best be known, it's still going on at the moment. It's still going ahead. And the more that Harry and Meghan attack Trump, the more that they're just putting that final nail in Harry's visa's coffin. And he's going to be kicked out if he's not careful. And if we're not careful, we're going to be getting him back, whether we like it or not, unfortunately. The other thing I would also say is Hazza just needs to shut up when it comes to trying to go onto his high horse here. Because if you are to believe the rumours and the reports, there was an article where the Major General turned round and said that he slept through an attack on Captain Bastion. He slept through it. You've got other people apparently turning round and saying that he was protected. He was wrapped up in cotton wool. There was no way anyone was going to get near him. He just needs to sit down and shut up.
Yeah, I totally agree. He really does. But he cannot help himself, Base and Bougie, because the point is, right, there hadn't even been 24 hours to allow Trump to actually row back on these comments. I refuse to join this sort of purity test that was being put out there. It was almost like, if you don't condemn Trump, then you're not a patriot. No. Everyone knows that I support British troops. But Trump was not actually speaking about British troops, as he made abundantly clear in his Truth Social post. But the one person who the world did not need to hear from on this is Prince Harry. And I think it does prove that he is actually now a danger to the British royal family. And I believe that William's strategy in terms of how he should be dealt with is the right one.
I'm starting to think that Meghan is like Harry's handler, just
Yes.
sent to Harry's life to destroy him and just make him make stupid decisions. Because first and foremost, you posting pictures of Harry in the army isn't convincing us nothing. We know very well that Harry was probably the most protected person in that army due to his title at the time. Second of all, how dare you criticize Trump while still continuing to live under Trump's administration? You can easily leave. And this is why I do not like Harry and Meghan, not because I don't like them personally, but I can so clearly see that they are just puppets. They're just puppets used to completely go against anything that has to do with Western culture or anything that has to do with patriotic culture, and they're just here to push this woke ideology. They did it during the BLM. They used the BLM riots as an opportunity for Meghan to start playing the victim. And now the new wave is like criticizing Trump and ICE and his administration. Now they're jumping on that wave, trying to get their followers and audience to go against Trump. I know, and I can see through it, and I can see that they are just puppets being used by the woke mob.
Yeah, totally. And look, the thing is, I would argue the whole Harry and Meghan project is falling apart, Steph. I mean, how on earth can we have Harry going from court last week where he was just a pathetic excuse of a man like, oh, the royal family made my life a misery. They forced me to perform in front of the media. It was just awful. To literally getting on a plane and going to the Sundance Film Festival where his wife made him perform on the red carpet in front of the cameras. Now, by the way, the whole thing was a complete disaster, Steph, as you know, because they couldn't even fill up the movie theatre. That's how unpopular they were. But if you just look at this footage of them on the red carpet, what you will see is that Harry is initially kept to the side of the room by Meghan Markle and is just allowed to watch on. And it's only when she gives him the go-ahead that he is actually allowed to come and join. And what's so embarrassing, Steph, is you'll actually see in a hot minute that he sort of sprints across because he's like a little puppy dog, and Meghan's told him, okay, now you're allowed this moment. I mean, could you believe this footage?
Yes, because we've seen it so many times
There he
before. Really, in the grand scheme of things. I mean, usually I'd give the benefit of the doubt because in showbiz, you know, when you are partnered up with someone, that usually happens, right? You've got the first person out in front taking their pictures solo, and then they'll get their partner in, and then you've got like a dual picture, right? So there is that kind of thing that happens on the red carpet. However, with Hazza and Megzi, yeah, they're a little bit different because we've seen this happen now many, many times before. The other thing as well that I think is more embarrassing than the fact that they couldn't even fill the seats, is that the Sundance Festival, this festival primarily is set up so that filmmakers and indies and all that lot can come together, show their product, show their film for studios and whatnot to buy. And so here's the question. Why is a documentary executive produced by Hazza and Megzi all of a sudden being shown at Sundance for buyers? Isn't Harry and Meghan on a contract with Netflix so that they've got first refusal?
Exactly.
That means only one thing to me. Netflix have seen it and have refused outright to have it on their platform.
Oh, they have. You're absolutely correct. She has been working on this movie, she says, for 2 years. Well, that means Netflix didn't want it, and you actually had to wait till you'd left your exclusive deal before you're trying to sell it at Sundance. And that's absolutely right. Meghan was acting as if this were the Oscars. You know, she was sweeping in to win these awards. No. You're desperately trying to sell this project because no one wants it. There was an interesting moment based, I want to show you this on the red carpet, where you can just see how furious Meghan was with the interviewer because he dared bring up her daughter, Lily, and she immediately turned and passed it on to the director of the movie. But again, I find that really odd. It's like, you're the one that's putting your child on your Instagram account all the time. Why on earth can this person not ask a question about whether you want her to join the Girl Guides? Watch this.
She's maybe a little bit too young for Scouts at this point. Do you want Lilibet to be part of Girl Scout?
It's interesting. I think we'll continue to explore whatever feels right. But Alyssa's also a mom of a daughter.
So it was very quickly moved on. And Nancy Sidley's take on this base was, Meghan gets extremely uncomfortable, in my opinion, whenever asked about the kids. So she's proven the only time she will give information is when you're paying her to. She couldn't be more obvious. No information for free people. I mean, she was definitely snapping at that reporter there, wasn't she? She didn't want to be asked a question about her own daughter.
This is why I always call them whinge and ginge, because it's nothing you're just whinging at nothing. If you don't want people to ask questions about your daughter, then just don't be soft launching your daughter on Instagram, getting people curious about her. It's that simple. There's so many celebrities out there who have been able to hide their children. Till this day, we know nothing about them, not even their names. But here she is showing the back of them, showing their hair, showing how tall they are. She wants the attention, and when the attention is given to her, she starts doing this whole, let me just pass this on. And that's what I really just do not like about Harry and Meghan, is that they want the attention, and when they get the attention they're looking for, and it's not the attention that they actually wanted, which is positive attention, all of a sudden they try to I don't know. I'm just tired of it.
No, 100%. And then there is this next car crash moment, and so it's inside the movie theatre, the Eccles Theatre. Now, she couldn't even sell it out. That's what I find most extraordinary. Loads of sort of shitty B-grade movies were sold out, but not Harry and Meghan. And she broke all film protocols. So at these film festivals, the idea is that the director is king, okay? And of course, all of these movie types are wankers, but the reality is, they're the types of people that Harry and Meghan are trying to win over. And so the idea is that the director is king and the director always speaks first. But of course, because it's Meghan Markle, she had to hijack that. And she gets a special introduction to speak before the director, but does so as if she's just won an Oscar. So I was just sitting back what the hell is she talking about? She keeps thanking everyone for what? You're trying to sell this movie. Honestly, it's quite astonishing. And also, of course, it features the totally predictable and now unbearable, so I do apologize in advance, Meghan Markle word salad. Watch this.
Before we welcome our director, I want to invite a very special guest on stage. Can you please join me in welcoming Meghan, Duchess of Sussex?
Good morning, everybody.
She loves it, doesn't she?
Thank you guys so much for being here bright and early. I know some of you probably had late nights last night, so extra thanks for the effort. Nothing that a little cookies and coffee can't help. Look, my husband and I and R12 Productions, we are so proud and privileged to be able to support and uplift Cookie Queens. This film, yes, is probably the cutest at the festival, but I'm also going to go out on a limb and say it is one of the most powerful and meaningful depictions of something that is an American tradition and rooted in nostalgia, but is now put through this lens from the incredible creative vision of Alyssa to show something modernized about the girlhood experience and all the layers and complexity that come with that.
Couldn't
So yes,
just be
it's
cute.
And yes, these young ladies are fantastic and adorable, but they are also layered, beautiful girls who are about to become very strong leaders and young women. So thank you for supporting that. A huge thanks to our team at R12 Productions, Chanel, Wesley, Q, we love you guys, thank you so much for everything.
I'm done with it, but that's when she starts sort of this like Oscar speech. But Steph, isn't it so telling that this couldn't just be a cute little documentary? You know, that's not enough for her. It has to be some new feminist project.
Yeah, so couple of things from that. Firstly, interesting how she starts listing the people that are working for her. It's as if she's turning around and saying, I've still got a team behind me, even though a buttload of people have left. I've still got people working for me. I'm not a dictator in high heels. Look at all these people that are still working for me, blah, 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 blah. Also as well, her being on stage and that whole speech, it instantly gave me Blake Lively vibes. She's taken over this movie and she's trying to make it out as if it's her own.
Yes.
That she did the movie. That she directed it. It was all her idea.
And she had nothing to do with it, Steph.
No.
Like it was made before she came on board.
Absolutely. She says that they've been involved for 2 years. Well, show me the receipts. Show me exactly what Harry and Meghan and Outspoken Productions actually contributed to this film. Furthermore, something that Based and Bougie said earlier on rang true with me, but I wanted to take it one step further, which is this. Even if in an alternate universe, Meghan didn't put her children, Lily and Archie, on Instagram, this, that, and the other, the very fact that Megsy has executive produced a Girl Scout movie and is doing press for it instantly automatically means that when you're doing an interview, what's going to happen? The interviewer's going to be asking about your daughter and what your daughter thinks about the Girl Scouts, this, that, and the other. So what does she expect when she's on the press circuit for a Girl Scout movie? Of course her daughter's going to be asked about it. The other thing as well that I noticed during that particular moment that I mentioned yesterday on my own live stream is that when you pause it, when the reporter calls her Lilibet, she's not happy. Her eyes are glaring. It's as if looks can kill. Her eyes are glaring and her jaw is locked and she ain't smiling because the corners of her mouth are downturned. Reason why is because, opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, Megsy was unhappy at the title snub. It's as if Megsy was turning around and saying, it's not Lilibet, you know, it's Princess Lilibet.
Oh, Steph, you are so good at this. And of course, that is why you have to subscribe to the brilliant Steph the Alternate. She does the news, but she also does royals. She also does gossip. She's absolutely brilliant. Steph, thank you so much. And Based and Bougie, the legend that is. And Based is now on TikTok, on Instagram, on X, but also now on YouTube as well. So you can subscribe to Based and Bougie there. Love having you both on Outspoken. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Based and Steph. And of course, we are going to reveal today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass in just one moment, so don't go anywhere. But first, to your feedback. So much coming through today. Lots about Crowborough, actually, though. Mr. The Courier says, need people sitting and blocking the streets and blocking the entrance to the Crowborough camp like they used to do in Greenham Common. Viper44XX says, still shocks me in disbelief what they are doing to this country. It's like living in a bad dream and you can't wake up. And Jenny Chilton on that far-right slur from that ponytailed asshole Matthew Wright says, we have to laugh at them when they use the far-right slur, make fun of them. And I think, yeah, you are right. There's a whole load that we can make fun of Matthew Wright about because he's one of the most unhinged men in the United Kingdom. Okay, a reminder of your nominees for today's Greatest Britain and Union Jackass. Steve Reed, nominated by Thomas W303 for his ludicrous defence of why Starmer didn't allow Andy Burnham to run in the by-election. Nadeem Zahawi, nominated by Thunk Thorpe, because obviously he is, well, according to Thunk Thorpe, one of the chin-dribbling architects of this country's demise, now stepping forward to tell us how bad it all is with Reform UK. And then Andy Burnham himself, nominated by Kaz Quinn, who says he's another really horrible socialist. Okay, let me get to these results. This will be interesting. And with 12% of the vote, Steve Reed. The runner-up with 33% of the vote, Andy Burnham. But today's Union Jackass with 55% of the vote. You're still angry about this defection, Nadeem Zahawi. And today's winner is a collective, all 21,000 of you. It's the Crowborough locals, nominated by Real Mick Cass for protesting peacefully and not giving the left ammunition. Okay, we're going to move over to Substack now for the Royal Uncancelled After Show, teaming up with Brittany from the Royal News Network, because there is so much more royal gossip to get into. You can join us over there at www.outspoken.live. Remember, Outspoken is also now available as a podcast too, so please do subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts. Back live with you though tomorrow night, 5 p.m. UK time, midday Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. Hit subscribe right now on YouTube, and most importantly, I promise to keep fighting for you.